Hello busy dads and busy people everywhere. It is a truly glorious day in San Diego. I finished my training. I'm feeling amazingly good. Very, very lucky to be here. And as I'm walking now to my place of work, I thought I would take a couple of minutes to make another video in the Busy Dad FAQs series. For those of you who don't know, the Busy Dad FAQs playlist is where I answer frequently asked questions about the Busy Dad program. We cover topics like, how do I test into the program? What are the different levels of the program? What do I do as in concert with the Busy Dad program to train back? All kinds of different topics. Is the Busy Dad program suitable for different age groups? How should you approach it if you're an older practitioner? And so it's a real treasure trove of helpful information for all of you out there who are curious about the Busy Dad program, or perhaps who are already practicing. Now, I try and be as responsive as possible to all of you on this channel, so please, if you have a question that we've not yet answered on the FAQs playlist, just let me know in the comments section and I'll make a video in the coming weeks. I'm gonna be posting these videos most Wednesdays, so just let me know, and this time next week your question will be answered. In today's video, I'm going to talk about training plateaus on the Busy Dad program. A couple of you have asked me about strategies for breaking through a plateau, which is an excellent question to ask. What you'll notice with the Busy Dad program is that while we give you a structure to work through, we give you goals, we do not make prescriptions about how you should attack those goals, about how you should strategize your way through the workout. And that's kind of deliberate. We want to give you room to experiment with different approaches, different strategies, and really make the program your own. No two practitioners move through the workouts in quite the same way, and that's part of the beauty of this program. It gives room for individual expression and experiment, as well as having a prescriptive structure. Still, a lot of people do want to know what are some strategies that might work for them. And so in this video, I'm going to talk you through a couple of the strategies that I use, especially when I'm hitting a training plateau. But this is by no means an exhaustive list. So people in the comments section who are practitioners, please do share some of your tactics and strategies if none of this is covered. So my overall piece of advice, well, I have two pieces of advice for somebody who's hitting up against a plateau in their training with the Busy Dad program. Maybe you tested in at 1B and things have just gone really, really well for you. You've been sailing through for your first 6-7 weeks, but now the beginner gains are over. Let's say you're stuck in the middle of 1D. You can't break 176 reps and you want to know, what can I do to break past that? So my first overarching piece of advice is be patient. Trust the process. Please do not get disheartened if you're not breaking through a plateau. I'll give you an example. In my own training, I've been plateaued more times than I can count. But every single plateau I've hit, I've broken. Sometimes I broke it after 2 weeks. Sometimes I broke it after 2 months. I was plateaued at 113 Navy SEALs. This is before I started the channel. In my efforts to unlock level 4, I was stuck there for nearly 6 months. And then one day, I went out and I jumped from 113 way up to 120 and unlocked level 4. Okay, I have no idea why it happened that day, but it did. Because the fact is, if you're showing up to your training week in, week out, okay, you're building your fitness even if you don't know it. And the unremarkable sessions, the ones that there's no firework display at the end, you don't break a PR or anything like that, that's where you're laying the groundwork to smash through a training plateau when your body is ready to do that. So first piece of advice is, if you're hitting up against a plateau, love the plateau. That's part of the process. Be patient, trust the process, and you will break through it. If you keep showing up, you will break through it. When I graduated the Busy Dad program, I was plateaued at 134 for pretty much 6 months. And then within 3 weeks, I'd gone from 134 to 150. It blew me away. If I hadn't been showing up regularly, that wouldn't have happened. So my second piece of advice for those of you who are hitting up against a plateau is change things up. Experiment with different strategies and formats within your workout. I'll take you through some in a minute. But first, I want to tell you why. I want to give you the 2 reasons why it's so valuable to move through different formats in your training. Okay, the first reason is a psychological reason. Say you've been trying to unlock level 2 with a 20 down. We'll talk about what that is in a minute. And you're doing it week in, week out, and every time you get to, I don't know, 5, and you're done, and you can't bring yourself to make that final push. Okay, you need a psychological break from that format. That format is starting to intimidate you. Okay, you know the format so well. You know exactly when the pain is going to come. You start anticipating the pain. You start freaking out about the pain. Okay. Sometimes knowledge is not power. Sometimes not knowing exactly how a workout is going to play can play in your favour. So changing up format has helped me enormously in the past, just to break a psychological funk that I might have been in. The second reason is every different way of making the reps, every different strategy is going to make slightly different demands on your body, and it's going to iron out different aspects of your fitness that might be lacking. Okay, there are some formats that call for the ability to do steady work, even when you're tired. There are some formats that call for a last-minute sprint. There are some formats that call for going out hard, but then being able to hold on through no man's land. And learning to do all of those different things is going to bring your overall fitness level up. So that then, when you cycle through a bunch of different formats and come back to the format that had maybe caused the plateau in the first place, both physically and psychologically, you'll be prepared and equipped to smash through the workout. It'll feel new again. It'll feel like you've got a new mind and a new body. Okay, so variation is the spice of life. Definitely try out different formats. So what are some of the different formats that you can try? Well, a very common strategy to use, especially in the early days of the Busy Dad program, this is what I used, is just a completely uniform strategy where you perform 1 rep in a given time interval, you hold that interval fixed, and you go like that for the entire workout. Okay, that was me with my Navy SEALs. To begin with, I tried 1 rep every 20 seconds. Okay, and that's how I tested in. That got me into the program at level 1D. Gradually, I worked that down to 1 rep every 15 seconds, and that got me into level 2. After a while, I was able to push for 1 rep every 12 seconds, and that got me to level 3, and eventually I unlocked level 4 by performing 1 rep every 10 seconds. Okay, so that's an excellent strategy, and things that you can do are, for example, you might be trying to transition from level 2 to 3, so you're trying to go from 1 rep every 20 seconds to 1 rep every 15 seconds to 1 rep every 12. You can alternate. You can do 1 rep every. First of all, do a rep and give yourself, fill out a 15-second interval, then do a 12-second interval, and go back and forth like that. The math can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes I would write out the time intervals for myself, or if you're sophisticated, I'm sure you could program that in an app or something. Okay, so that uniform strategy has worked really well for me, especially with the Navy SEALs, but also in the earlier parts of the program with the 6 counts. My follow-along 6-count workouts that I do for the earlier parts of the program tend to be like that. We perform 1 6-count within a given interval. Another format that I took from Iron Wolf, and in the early days was my go-to format for the 6 counts, was to work in blocks of 25 reps. Okay, and so what I would do is give myself a certain time interval to perform those 25 reps. The way I unlocked level 2 with the 6 counts is I programmed 25 reps every 2.5 minutes. Do that 8 times, get through the 20 minutes, and you've got yourself 200 reps. Okay? And then I gradually cut down the time intervals until I got all the way to level 4. I believe the way I did it with level 4 was working in 1 minute 50 time blocks for my 25 reps. Okay, that's an excellent format. But what I discovered is that format is actually quite a lot harder, for me at least, than some of the other formats. An excellent one to use is the down format. So let me give you an example. In a 20 down, you would perform 20 reps, followed by 19, followed by 18, followed by 17, all the way down to 1. That would be a 20 down. Okay, and that would unlock level 2 for you. Okay. Obviously, another format that we've not talked about yet that's quite common is the EMOM format, every minute on the minute. Okay, you might try and unlock level 2. This is what my friend Julian did by doing 10 reps every minute on the minute for 20 minutes. Okay, and the cool thing about the EMOM format is it rewards fast reps. The faster your reps, the more your rest. So it's a good way of training speed. It's also a really good way of training yourself to hold on when you're building up a lactic debt. So the EMOM format is also excellent. Another format you can use is the block format. You can block the workout into macro level blocks and set yourself rep targets within those blocks. I know that my friend Eric McCarthy does this. I know that Paul from Oregon does this. It's something I've experimented with. So for example, you're doing a 20-minute workout, you might split that into 4 5-minute blocks. Sorry, I'm shouting everyone, the noise is pretty intense, I'm walking over a highway. Okay, so you might say, right, I'm going to go out hard, I'm going to try 60 reps in my first block, 50 reps in my next block, okay, and then 40 in my third block, and then I'm going to push to bring it up to 50. Maybe I'll do a last minute sprint in my last block. That'll be a way that I unlock level 4. The nice thing about that is you have kind of way stations, and you can also distribute the load across the workout to anticipate the points in the workout where you're going to be struggling more. Another way of doing it is to block things into 2 sets of 10. A complete curveball that I want to throw out there, that was actually what enabled me to graduate the Busy Lad program when I did that, is something that the brilliant burpee practitioner Tone Irv put me onto, which is just throw out the clock entirely, set an alarm and go. Okay, and you keep repping until the alarm goes off. You're not looking at the clock, you're just going. And Tone told me his philosophy is, if I'm standing up and I'm not repping, I say, why aren't you repping? And I get straight back down. And the way he would promote that mindset was to visualize that he had a boss who was watching his reps, evaluating him, and deciding whether or not to hire him for his burpee crack team. Okay, and sometimes he would personify the boss. It might be David Goggins. He said it was sometimes Khabib Nurmagomedov. Your boss can be anyone that you respect. My boss was Tone himself. Okay, and just go. I also can recommend a hybrid version of that, where you block the workout into 2 10-minute blocks. You set yourself a rep goal for the first 10 minutes, but you just go and don't look at the clock, and you don't even make prescriptions about how you'll get there. You just give yourself the mission of getting there. You visualize that boss watching you, and then for the second 10 minutes, you fall back on any of the number of strategies that we have that involve watching the clock. Okay, that really helped me. That was kind of the best of both worlds for me. It allowed me to really let go and go wild, but then also to fall back on a format that I knew and trusted to get me through the no man's land part of the workout. So look, my friends, I've just given you, 6 or 7 different formats that I've used, and like I said, this really isn't exhaustive. There are as many strategies as there are practitioners of this program. Everyone does it slightly differently. That's really part of the joy, is experimenting with different approaches. But again, my 2 main pieces of advice as you draw on this knowledge that we've built up together about how to approach it is, first of all, stay patient, trust the process, and second of all, vary things up. Okay, step outside of your comfort zone, step outside of what's familiar, and try different formats. They will unlock different capabilities in your mind and in your body, and they will strengthen you psychologically and physically, so that when you cycle through the different series of formats and come back to the one that had been causing you your problems, you're refreshed and you're good to attack it again. Okay, so that's some wisdom that I thought I would share on what to do when you're hitting up against the training plateau. If other people, other practitioners watching this have their own input about approaches, please share them. Let's build up our collective pool of knowledge here about how to attack the Busy Dad program. Okay, the Busy Dad program belongs to all of us. It's not mine. I created the structure, but in terms of how we approach it, okay, we're all still learning how this works. So let's learn together. All right, my friends, that's enough from me. Sorry for the background noise. See you again soon.